Our YouTube.
It's your YouTube. And that's the intro. It's explaining the fact that it's your YouTube.
Are you gonna do the intro? Hey Rocco? You wanna do the intro? You say hi? No. Hello everyone. It's been about a week since we last talked to you. If you know anything about gardens, that's been way too long. Things are popping out, things are changing, the crickets are singing, bugs are in full force, and so is all of this. Just wanted to take everybody on a tour and kind of update you about what's going on. So to start, the flower garden is glorious. Our raspberries have been producing so much that we actually stopped picking them. Most of them have been going to the birds. And these are new. Previously, we had all of our cherry tomato varieties in these beds, and quite honestly, you probably heard me talk about it. I didn't like it. So we put the herbs in. We are herb lovers around here. Maybe we'll get more of that next year. Duck dog and duck dad. As we kind of thought, our privacy screen / cool off screen for Rocco, not exactly popping this year. We're definitely going to think of a new plant for next year that will come in a little bit more. We have contemplated using a vegetable, but we're not 100% sure. We have some trees going up on the deck, pompous in full swing. And all those cherry tomato varieties, we moved them over here. They're not looking so hot. They actually got hit by like a later kind of blight. Blight usually gets transferred from bugs biting, and we do have quite a bit of flea beetle pressure this year. But as you can see, that hasn't stopped a few from beautifully blushing.
And we're really excited about trying them.
Trying them? Who has already stolen a bunch?
I've had 3. Only 3.
3. How many have you had? None, because you're a dog. And wife has had 1. But that's okay. We planted them for husbands. I love when you can still see all the clover on the grass, although it has been a little bit rainy and I'm not a big fan of walking through this muckiness, so let's go down the garden and show you what's going on. This bed, wow. This one kind of became our unruly bed of the year. At the front here, we have a patio, a cucumber. I think these are so interesting because A, they're a smaller vining variety, so if you don't really have a lot of space. But look how cute they look. They produce these short little stubby cucumbers, which are perfect obviously just for snacking on, or you can of course pickle them. Who doesn't love pickles? We're pretty obsessed ourselves. We have been making jar after jar, so much so that we're starting to make some for gifts because let's just say we have quite a bit. Speaking of quite a bit, radishes? That's what these are. A little bit overgrown, but as you saw just previously there, they create those cute little pods, and those are actually edible. So not only have we tried one, they kind of have a little bit of a bean flavor to begin with, and then they really, really hit you with that kind of spice of a radish at the end. But we have tried pickling a few, and we'll let you guys know kind of how that went. Speaking of actual radish, they're coming in here. A little bit of flea beetle pressure, just as I mentioned previously, but we're definitely starting to ball up again. Tomato variety. Now we did add a couple cages just because things were getting a little bit unruly. While they don't necessarily add complete support, they do allow us to just localize the plant and able to just make sure that we are allowing the things that are around them a little bit more space. And speaking of space, these are a purple amethyst bush beans. We do have more of them growing at the back lot, you'll see, but they have really, really popped off in this section. And we're excited because they are probably our favorite bean that we have grown this year. So really excited about that. Do have a couple more beets coming in, some peppers. Please excuse all of the pruning. As you can see, we had a little bit of, lots of powdery mildew on our cucumbers here. So we did actually tidy them up yesterday and just got kind of lazy with picking up all of our scraps. But that's okay. It happens. Oh, wow. Look at these kohlrabi. We were saying that they're pretty well ready to be picked. Hi. We have some bunching onions that we've been trimming off. Some peppers, some radish, and a new planting of dill. I finally took down the jungle. It was getting a little bit insane, but I certainly wanted to make sure that I did plant some new ones, simply for the fact that we do have well, I tell you we needed to plant dill because of these critters, and then I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna show you my parsley. Hello. Cute little swallowtail. Ah, this place. Just love it. There's a lot of other critters that like it too. Earlier, we had to chase the squirrel away from this log. It stole my husband's prize strawberry. I shouldn't say prized. It was a good one. Compost tomatoes. Looking better than my regular tomatoes, let's be real. Isn't that always the case? This bed used to have our potatoes in it, and now we are utilizing this space before we put in some garlic. Garlic still needs just a little bit longer to be able to be planted, so we decided to do some quick root vegetables. So we do have some quick radish, some earlier style beets, that sort of thing. Wow. I wanted to do a little recording because I don't usually use this light. It's very, very harsh. So you, of course, have seen me in shadows. But I love this light on the garden. Also, as a photographer, this is golden hour for me. This is one of my favorite times. Like, look at that. Like, hello. We love a golden hour. Didn't mean to really flip over that, but it's just kind of growing in. We do have some basil there at the front, onions along the side, carrot down the center, and then we have the brandywine tomatoes at the back. We did have a little bit of a windstorm, and we did lose a little bit of our brandywines. Not too many, but they're just growing. Kind of like this mess. We've had to do some TLC because it is invading everywhere. So hard with tomatoes. Those are cucumbers, Ashley. It's so hard with cucumbers sometimes because, you know, who doesn't want a million pickles? But at the same time, with powdery mildew and with how crazy they get with vining, yeah, gotta chop it back. It's just part of what we do. Another plant that got a really good haircut recently was all of these peppers. I don't usually trim out my peppers a whole lot throughout the season. Typically we do an initial, I guess, kind of like crop that gets everything bushing out and spreading a little bit more. It's referred to as topping. However, I did bring out the clippers, as you can see, and I did trim out a little bit of the bottom leaves. And the only reason I did that was so everything could have some space. I've had a couple people mention that I grow peppers well, and I kind of always brush it off, but then when I come down on their level, I realize that we got a lot of peppers. Well, who knew? Peppers, I guess, are my thing. Guess I'm better at things that you just leave. I don't know. We're still figuring it out. Speaking of those tomatoes my husband has been stealing, they have been from here. You can kind of see there is definitely a little bit of damage on these leaves from blight to pests, kind of battling. Also kind of feel that maybe planters aren't necessarily our speed of thing. Definitely more of a raised bed fan. Hello. So many. Let's like count the freaking cucumbers. Beans, beans, beans. We'll come back to you. Don't pay any attention to this band. He's mostly laying on the ground. You win some and you lose some, friends. Already talked about that bed. Sorry, just trying to make these a little bit quicker for you guys. This one is just like an in-between season check. It's a crazy bed. It's mostly just tomatoes at this point now. We do have one struggling pepper, basil. Eggplant isn't doing too shabby. It's a miniature variety, so these don't get large. We did plant some more lettuce in the space that you see. And then everybody else is just working their way. This is the purple bean I was mentioning earlier. We're simply obsessed. They do lose their color if you cook them, like for a long time, but I'm finding that if you kind of just more, I guess, lightly pan fry in some butter, which is typically how we like to consume beans, not overcooked, that they are just delicious and they don't lose all of their purple. They kind of get like a spotty kind of camo look to them. Oh, tomatoes. I just sometimes I'm proud of this bed. Other times I just realize how much of a mess it is. But man, oh man, is it ever producing. In here we have Romas and we have beefsteaks, and then we also have a couple like cherry varieties around here. We were actually just mentioning, although this guy here, it has a lot of like pest pressure. So these are flea beetle bites, you can tell because there are all these like little dots. But oh, wow, look at this. Look how packed this plant is. Like it's leaning over because it's so filled. And so far they don't seem to be really bothering the fruits on this. They are packing away a little bit at my actual tomatoes, but nothing that has warranted using any kind of preventative measures. Typically we just prune. In here, I have all my miniature pumpkins. Oh, hello. So cute. And my gourds. Plus whatever this is. I think it's a legitimate pumpkin by the size of this. I don't think anybody understands how big this guy is comparable to everybody else I have. But that's okay. We still love him. I just think it's funny because technically that's supposed to be the size of these guys. They're supposed to be a lot smaller. But I don't know, guess we're getting a pumpkin. Over here, our acorn squash is thriving. We have so many. One there, one in there, and then there are a few about the bed as well. Corn hasn't started tasseling, but certainly almost taller than me. Speaking of taller than me, can barely reach. That tall for that lemon queen sunflower. She's over 6 feet. This guy here, tons of weeds, tons of onions, some tomato, and my beauty. So this is my State Fair giant pumpkin. I was a little bit sad. We did have some powdery mildew, but I was a bit sad because I'm only getting male flowers on it. But then wait. Dun 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 dun. Somewhere. Oh, right there. That is a female. Oh, so excited. It has all of this lovely space to grow. And it even has a lovely new addition. This might seem silly, but this is a pond that we built. And we built this pond basically out of an agricultural trough that my husband used to use for his guinea pigs. But I think it adds the perfect little bit to our garden. Don't you think? Especially having all of this space that's not utilized yet, it's nice to have just something that kind of forces us to come over here. We have really been trying to tidy up everything, get everything together. We even have been spending more time outside. As you can see by the tent, we have been thoroughly enjoying some vacation with my husband. We also too managed to get this entire section here cleared up. I'm sure you've seen it in past videos. It was filled with garbage, and now it's not. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed the little tour while everybody else was relaxing, and I hope you have a wonderful day.